Guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about how you can predict basically what's going to happen in your life at a certain age. And we're going to be doing this using astrology, specifically using annual profections. Now, even if you are not really knowledgeable about astrology, I feel like this is very easy to understand. Like once we break it down and we get some examples, you'll be able to do it on your own really easily. So let's go ahead and dive right into this. And the reason that I really like using this method, or I like using astrology in general to make future predictions, because when you know like a certain theme is coming in your life, or like a certain general like overall event that you can expect, or a certain type of energy that you can expect, then of course you can prepare for it. So sometimes it is beneficial to just let things unfold, live in the present and things like that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of taking a peek into what energy you might be walking into, and just mentally or physically, financially, spiritually preparing yourself to walk into that energy. So I wanted to do a couple of videos about how I'm able to predict my future in that way using astrology. So like I was saying, we are using annual profections in this video. So if you take a look at the phone screen, because I'm recording this on my phone, if you look at the screen, you will see an annual profections chart. And basically in the annual profections chart, all the numbers on the outside are ages. So you would locate your age on the chart, and then you would see which house it is connected to, and that is what will tell you what's going to happen to you, or what is going to be the focus of your life at that given age. Okay. So if you look at your birth chart, actually, let me quickly swipe over. Okay, here's my birth chart, Nikwa's natal chart. Okay, so if you look at your birth chart, and I'll leave the link to this website if you want to use this site to pull up your own birth chart. I'll leave the link in the description. So if you look at your birth chart, you'll notice that there are 12 houses in your birth chart, and each house represents a different area of your life. So there's 12 houses, right? So then you scroll back to the profections chart, and you'll see those 12 houses are in the middle of the chart. So like I said, you will find your age, connect it to, whichever house is in the chart. And then what you want to do is look at the meaning of that house, which in this chart, it's really easy because it's right here at the bottom. So you want to look at the meaning of that house, or what that house is associated with, and that will be the focus of your life at the given age that you're looking at. You see what I'm saying? Okay, in case that was confusing, we're going to do an example. Okay, so last year I was 29 years old. I just turned 30, but I want to use me being 29 as an example, because you'll see why. It's just a very, very clear example. So I was 29 years old, right? So I located my age, 29. And then we see that 29 is connected to the 6th house. So what does that mean? That means that when I was 29 years old, I could expect to have 6th house activities taking place in my life, or the themes of the 6th house will be taking place in my life. So what are those themes? So we scroll down here to the 6th house. Illness, work, duties, and pets. So I want to specifically talk about illness. And also the 6th house is health. So health and illness, right? And it's also your daily schedule. So basically at the age of 29, because my 6th house is being highlighted, that means that there's going to be a major focus on health, illness, and my daily schedule. And when I was 29 years old, I actually did have major health complications that actually hindered me from being able to keep a daily schedule, to keep a disciplined daily schedule. And my work was really, really affected by it. Now, this doesn't always mean something bad. Like, it doesn't mean, oh, when you turn 29, you're automatically going to have a health crisis. It's more so of like a heads up. I already had health complications before I turned 29, and I was pretty much not taking care of myself the best way that I could. And so when I turned 29 and the theme was highlighted of health and illness, it just so happens that my illness got worse. So if I would have looked at the chart, because I wasn't really following perfection years, back before I turned 29. But if I would have looked at the chart and saw like, okay, I'm turning 29, health, illness is being highlighted for me. Let me make sure that I'm taking care of my health so that nothing bad happens. I could have probably avoided that. But because I didn't do that, I kind of walked into my 29th year not taking care of myself, and my health was affected really, really badly. So you see what I mean? Like if you can plan ahead using this chart, then your year can run much more smoothly. Let me see what other examples I can give. Oh, also, okay, let's scroll back over to the chart, right? We're still talking about my 29th year and the sixth house of health and things like that being highlighted, right? So let's scroll back over to my birth chart in my sixth house. Now, this is where we're getting more into a little bit more complicated territory, but still, I feel like if you want to use this method to get more specific, you can. So you can stick with just this chart. You can stick with just the perfection years and use it to give a general idea of what's going to happen at a certain age, right? But you can also look at the house of your chart that's being highlighted that year, and you can get more specific about what is going to take place. Okay. So when I was 29, like I said, the sixth house is being highlighted. And in my chart, my sixth house is in Virgo. Okay. So Virgo basically rules digestive issues. Well, it rules health overall, but specifically digestive issues. Like Virgos are known to have digestive issues. And when I was sick in my 29th year, it involved my digestive system. Okay. And Virgo is also the sign of like self-criticism, and things of that sort. And I did notice that during my sixth house year, I was far more self-critical than I usually am. And also Virgo is the sign of discipline and a daily schedule. And during my sixth house year, I was not able to be disciplined. I was not able to maintain a daily schedule. In fact, I discovered that I may have ADHD. It's still undiagnosed, but I first got introduced to the idea that I might have ADHD, which, pretty much hinders me from being able to be consistent in my routine, in my schedule. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at your sixth house, like if you were turning 29, I mean, and your sixth house was being highlighted, you can then go to your chart and look at your sixth house and look at the sign, and it'll give you something even more specific of how it's going to affect you. Does that make sense? Okay, let's do another example. Let me see, what year should we choose? Okay, I guess we can do my 12th house year. All right. So 23 years old, right? There it is. When I was 23 years old, I had just graduated from college. Now, 23 is connected to the 12th house, right? So when I was 23, 12th house themes and issues were being highlighted. So let's go down here to the 12th house. Retreat, sickness, rest, confinement. Okay, so those were going to be the themes of what's taking place while I'm 23 years old. And guess what I was doing at 23 years old, y'all? I was literally on bed rest for a chronic illness. Literally on bed rest for a chronic illness. So this is so... like, it blows my mind how accurate and precise astrology can actually be. My 23rd year, I had just got out of college and I wanted to go and get my master's degree, but I couldn't because I developed a very severe chronic illness. And I literally was on bed rest for my whole 23rd year. Retreat, sickness, rest, confinement. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't work. I couldn't do a damn thing that year. It was terrible. Now, if we want to get more specific, let's go over to my chart and look at the 12th house of my chart, right? So the 12th house of my chart is Pisces. Pisces is associated with spirituality. It's a very spiritual sign. The whole time that I was on bed rest during my 12th house year, I started studying spirituality. That's where I had my first interest in spirituality, where I kind of started to deviate away from religion and started to lean more towards spirituality. And that literally fits with a 12th house theme of me having 12th house Pisces. You see what I'm saying? Really, really crazy to think about. But yeah, astrology can really get that accurate. It really can. And okay, no, I was going to get into the degrees, but that's going to be getting too deep. So I'm not going to get into that. Okay, let's do another example. Let's see here. Oh, I know a perfect one. 26. 26 years old is associated with the third house, right? So let's scroll down to the third house. Let's see what themes you can expect when you turn 26. Communication, siblings, learning, and travel, right? So the themes of communication and learning were definitely highlighted for me when I was 26, because guess what I started when I turned 26? I started my YouTube channel this year. So literally, like, communication through the internet, learning, teaching, literally third house. And that's what took place when I was 26. I started going viral a lot on social media. I started, my YouTube channel started like blowing up, literally third house type energy. And if you scroll over to my chart, I have Gemini in my third house. And again, Gemini is the sign of learning, teaching, speaking, communication, fast moving communication, especially over the internet. So yeah, 26 years old was definitely third house highlighted with Gemini being there. Definitely communication, learning, and things of that sort. So like I said, it gets very, very accurate, or it gets very like precise and detailed if you understand how to use these methods. Okay. So what else? I'm trying to see if there's any more like blatant examples. Oh, ooh, I know one. Okay. Okay. When I turned 27 years old. Okay. So 27 and then the fourth house, right? The fourth house is being highlighted when you turn 27. So let's go to the fourth house. The fourth house is the house of parents, family, and home. When I was 27 years old, I moved away from my whole family. I moved away from the city that my whole family lives in, and I moved down south away from my home family, and I got my first apartment on my own. I had never lived on my own before. This was the first time that I had my apartment, right? And you would think that would be a good thing. It kind of was, but then again, it kind of wasn't, because how do I put this? Like, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this without making it a long, drawn out story. A lot of childhood trauma was triggered in that home. Just put it that way. Without having it be a long, drawn out story, I moved far away from my family, got my first apartment, and a lot of triggering took place. Specifically, childhood wounds took place, which I really didn't expect it. So the fourth house is the house of, like I said, parents, family, and home. So the wounds that I originally got from my family, even though I moved away from them, it got highlighted in my fourth house year. And I always wonder if that's why the 27 Club is called the 27 Club. In case you don't know what the 27 Club is, it's basically this thing where a lot of musicians that have committed suicide or have overdosed and things like that, they have died when they were 27. I think that Amy Winehouse is in it. It might be Heath Ledger. Don't quote me on that, because I don't want to like click off of this and go look up a list. But if you type in 27 Club, it'll show you, well, not Heath Ledger. What am I talking about? I think Kurt Cobain. I don't know. Go and look up 27 Club and you'll see a list of famous people who have died at the age of 27. It's like some type of weird phenomenon. And I'm always wondering if it's because your fourth house is highlighted at the age of 27, and your fourth house is like family, home, and things like that. And childhood trauma could be triggered there, or that's just my theory. And I'm wondering if that's what takes place, where people are experiencing this childhood trauma or issues with their family and things like that, and it ends in like suicide or overdosing. Because honestly, both of those things almost happened to me in my fourth house year when I turned 27. No lie, I literally almost joined the 27 Club. So yeah, that's another way that astrology is just so accurate in those ways. And again, it doesn't always have to be negative. You know, it could have just stopped at, I got a home when I turned 27. It could have stopped there, but no. Just be mindful. especially this the fourth and the fifth house. Be mindful of both of those, age 27 and 28, because the fourth house is home and family, the fifth house is children. So it was a lot of inner child wounding that came to the surface for me at the age of 27 and 28. And also these two ages are when you are starting your Saturn return, which we will get into in another video. But you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just really crazy how that works. And then in my fourth and fifth house, I have Cancer and Leo. So Cancer is the mother, the home, and things like that, which played a role in like the triggering that took place when I was 27. And then 28 was the fifth house, which is Leo. And Leo is the sign of children. And, there were issues regarding childhood trauma in children when I turned 28. So yeah, like I said, very, very accurate. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful. If you want to like analyze your age, or you need help with it, leave it in the comment section. Like, you can comment like, I'm turning 22. What do you think that could mean? And, I'll answer, or we'll help each other out in the comments. We'll comment to each other and share some insights. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's really not hard. It's actually really easy. And once you figure out how to do it, it can really be a game changer when it comes to overall just predicting your life or what's going to happen. I mean, I can quickly run down like each house really quickly as well. That'll probably be helpful, so I'll make it quick. So in your first house year, that's when you will reflect on yourself, your personality, your appearance. You might have some sort of like drastic change in the way that you look during your first house year. I remember my first house year, I started going to the gym, and it definitely changed the way that I looked drastically. So personality, yourself, your appearance is going to be a major focus for you during a first house year. During the second house year, that's when you are focusing on your money, your spending, your savings, but also this house talks about your sense of self-worth. So your self-worth may be tested during the second house year. I know for me, it definitely was, because my second house year is when I met that narcissist. And of course, he destroyed my sense of self-worth and my sense of self-esteem. He really made me question it. So that was definitely highlighted for sure. And also my second house year is when I was able to start working again. So that's the focus on income, because remember in my 12th house year, I said that I was not able to work because I was on bed rest. My second house year is when I was finally able to return back to work. First house year, I was going to the gym, but still wasn't able to fully work. Second house year, I started going back to work. Third house year, communication, siblings, learning, and travel. So your third house year, if you are on social media, that could be the year that you blow up or you start going viral. If you want to build like a social media platform. Also, there could be issues, or well, not issues, but there could be a focus on your siblings. Like something may take place with you and your siblings. You could be traveling, but it's short travel. It's not like long distance traveling. It's like, taking local trips and things of that sort. So that is the third house. It also is the house of learning. So you may like enroll in like a course or something like that. Like there's some learning that's definitely highlighted in the third house. So fourth house, we have, parents, family, and home. So we talked about that before, about how those themes will come to the surface. If you have issues with your parents, your family, or your home, they may be highlighted, and then they may be, solved or resolved during your fourth house year. Also, this could be a year where you end up having children or you end up getting pregnant. So that's a possibility, or you're thinking about starting a family pretty much. And then the fifth house year is similar. It's like children. So, you might be thinking about having a child. Romance is highlighted here. So you might meet a romantic partner, or if you have a romantic partner, your relationship with them may be highlighted. So yeah, this fifth house year, children, romance, and things like that. It's like the lighthearted romance, like when you first start dating someone. That's why I said you might, meet someone that you really like and start dating them in a fifth house year. It's very possible. Also, though, fifth house is associated with the sign of Leo. So you may be in the spotlight or getting a lot of attention, or may have a boost in your self-esteem. For me, that wasn't the case when I was 28, but when I was 16, because 16 is also fifth house year, that definitely was the case for me. I had a major boost in my self-esteem when I was 16 years old. I don't remember how or why, but I remember that time period of me becoming a much more confident person. So, fifth house, I associate that with self-esteem as well, but that's just my own personal interpretation. So, sixth house, we have work, illness, health, things of that sort. So in your sixth house, your health may be highlighted, may have some health issues or health complications, or you may just become more health conscious. Oh my God, I can never say that word. Health conscious than you previously were. There we go. This is also the year where you may just feel like you really want to get your life together. Like you want to become more disciplined. You're really looking at your daily routine. Like, okay, like what do I need to fix in my daily routine in order to be successful and things of that sort. So the seventh house is the house of relationships, marriage, and things like that. You could possibly get married or get engaged in your seventh house when you're in your seventh house year, or it'll just be a highlight on your relationships in general. Your one-on-one relationships, it'll just be a major focus on that. I know that I'm in my seventh house year right now. And I can say that right now I'm really thinking more and more about just like making friends, like just wanting to make more deep one-on-one connections like with friends and things like that. Just relationships I just know are going to be a major focal point for me this year, because I just feel called towards connecting more with people. Like I feel called to kind of come out of isolation and connect more. Also, I do plan on doing a lot of collaborations this year, like collabing with other YouTubers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how it's playing out for me in my seventh house year in relationships. But like I said before, it could also mean marriage as well. So if you are in your seventh house year, you might consider getting married. So then in the eighth house, when you're in your eighth house year, this is a year of transformation. In the actual description, it says taxes, death, inheritances, other people's money, etc. But yeah, the eighth house, when I think of the eighth house, it's usually just drastic transformation. Something happens that just changes you. I had like a major relationship crisis in the eighth, like when I was 19 in my eighth house year. It was really, really traumatizing. Like seriously, it just like changed my whole outlook on love completely. So eighth house, okay, I'm not trying to scare you. Let me dial it back. I'm not trying to scare you. The eighth house, like I said, it's all about transformation. So things sometimes have to end abruptly and in a way that can be quite, tragic. It can be quite jarring, because sometimes that needs to happen in order for us to transform. So the eighth house is about, death, not real death, but, rebirth, death and rebirth, in a metaphorical way. A total transformation of the self due to something important ending. So then we have the ninth house. The ninth house is the house of travel, wisdom, foreigners, and foreign places. So you can literally feel the need or the urge to travel while you are in your ninth house perfection year. But also, I feel like this is the year where like religion is highlighted, because ninth house is religion as well. So I feel like this is the year that religion is highlighted, seeking out wise counsel from people. I know that my ninth house year, I was really lost and confused about religion in general. Like when I was 20 years old, religion in general was just very confusing to me. And I was seeking out a lot of just people to speak to, people who were older than me, wiser than me about these types of things. I was really seeking out like mentors and things of that sort. So yeah, ninth house year can definitely be associated with that. But like I said, also you could be traveling. You could be just studying, like trying to get involved in more like higher knowledge, like studying philosophy, spirituality, things like that with your ninth house year. Okay, 10th house year. 10th house is associated with career, reputation, success, and fame. What happened my 10th house year? I was 21. I don't remember my 21st year. I'm going to be honest. I really don't. I don't think anything that major happened for me. My 10th house year might have been when I really decided on my career path, because I was in college and I was majoring in psychology, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my career. So I'm pretty sure that this was the year that I started thinking about or planning my for like like getting my master's degree, planning for like after college to get my master's degree. That's the only 10th house theme I can think of that I went through that year. But yeah, this year of 10th house will be highlighting your career, your reputation, your success, and things of that sort. So if you're like an entrepreneur of some sort, then that might be the year that your business really takes off, or you might gain like a lot of buzz in your business, or you might just become really, really motivated to really put your time, energy, and effort into your business because you've decided that you really want to, build it in a way that's very sturdy, that's going to stand the test of time, because the 10th house is also about building things that are going to stand the test of time. Like, for example, how Jeff Bezos has built Amazon. And if I'm not mistaken, his Mars is in his 10th house. So yeah, 10th house, career, reputation, things of that sort. I can't really tell you about what happened to me. I really don't remember like any major things that happened when I was in my 10th house year. Okay, so 11th house year. Okay, this is the house of friends, groups, alliances, and luck. So in my 11th house year, when I was 22, I graduated college and I left my ex-fiance. Like, I left him behind. I left a lot of people behind my 11th house year. And I just recently learned that, even though the 11th house is the house of friends, groups, and alliances, it's not always about making those friends. Sometimes it's about losing those friends, losing those groups, losing those alliances. So when I graduated college, I left like everybody behind, pretty much everybody that I went to college with. I mean, some of them I still stayed in touch with, but they didn't live in the same city as me. So it was like I was leaving a group and transitioning into a new phase of my life. And sometimes that happens during your 11th house year. But yeah, just friendship in general and groups in general, finding where you belong, finding where you have common interests with people can definitely be associated with the 11th house. The 11th house is also associated with luck, but I mean, I don't recall feeling very lucky that 11th house year, because I ended my engagement that year. So I don't really recall feeling, well, honestly, that is luck. Yeah, let me not say that wasn't lucky. That was luck. I'm not going to lie. Because if I would have went through with that, basically, okay, I ended my engagement because I found out that he was doing something really dirty and grimy behind my back. And I found out by mistake. It was just like a pure stroke of luck. Like, he would have never told me. But I found out just by accident. So at the time it was devastating and it didn't feel lucky, but thinking back on it, it was very, very lucky. Very lucky. Because imagine, I could have walked down the aisle with that man. Actually, we were on our way to the courthouse because we were just tired of planning and waiting, and we were just going to go get married and get the certificate. And the car broke down. Yeah, that was definitely luck. That was definitely luck. So the 11th house, it's accurate. And then the 12th house, we talked about the 12th house is retreat, sickness, rest, and confinement. And yeah, in my 12th house, I was on bed rest and I was studying spirituality. Spirituality is also the 12th house. The 12th house also rules the subconscious. So it's like when you have a lot of time to sit and think and really observe all of the things that have shaped you as a person and all of the things that are now occupying your subconscious mind and really reflecting on those things. And I was definitely doing that. I had just ended my engagement. I couldn't go get my master's because I was on bed rest. I had nothing but time on my hands to sit and study myself, study spirituality, and just learn about my unconscious patterns and behaviors. So yeah, 12th house, you may experience having to rest or retreat. Sickness, yeah, sickness is in there. And like I said, I was on bed rest for sickness in my 12th house year, but it doesn't have to be bad. Like I said, it's not a bad omen. It's just all the things that you are needing to just take heed to or be mindful of so you can prepare for them in advance. So that's it. That's how I use my perfection chart to, plan out or to predict what's going to take place with me. And then I use my birth chart to make it more accurate. So yeah. If you want to book a birth chart reading with me, I will leave the link to that in the description box, because I do include the perfection years in my birth chart reading, as well as an overview of your birth chart and any important information that you will need to know in your birth chart. So yeah, I hope that I almost stopped the recording, but thank you guys for watching. And like I said, the link to the birth chart readings I'm offering will be in the description box, and also the link to this website where you can pull up your chart will be there, and you can always just screenshot this this perfections chart and keep it, just save it in like a photo album in your phone so you can refer back to it. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.